After about a year of use, I am removing my Enel X JuiceBox EV charger. Going to go over why and the financial implications to doing that. So I'm going back to the Tesla mobile charger, which I'm quite happy about. The first reason I'm happy we're going back to the Tesla charger, you can just see how big and bulky this thing is. Especially the connection end here. This is a JS. And we needed to use the adapter to go to NACS, the Tesla port. And since the advent of this NL charger, pretty much all major manufacturers have aligned, yes, the Tesla port is indeed better. We're gonna call it NACS, North American Charging Standard, and pretty much everything going forward is going to go to that plug, which is much smaller and more convenient. This one, you can see how long, bulky it is, and then you put the adapter on the end of it, it gets even more obnoxious. So I'm glad that this is going away. Another reason is I've got two Teslas. So the Tesla charger, I don't need another app, it just integrates with the Tesla app and the vehicle seamlessly. This thing needed a whole separate app that send me notifications and all that nonsense. Less is more. Then the other major convenience that the Tesla charger has is this little button on here that communicates with the car to open the charge port and unlock the charge port. There's no button on here to tell the car, hey, I want to remove it, so you have to get in the car, use the touch screen to unlock it, or use the Tesla app on your phone to tell the car, hey, I want to remove it. Where the Tesla charger just has the button. It's so simple and easy, and it just works perfectly. This thing was just less convenient. So you're probably asking the question, why did I ever have this JuiceBox by Enel anyway? Well, that was all because I enrolled in a pilot program with my local utility, Wisconsin Public Service, and you had to have this charger from them to get in the program. What the program had allowed, normally all of our electricity usage is on a flat rate. Right now, 13.6 cents per kilowatt hour. By enrolling in the program, I was able to get off-peak charge rates to charge cars to this charger at 6 cents per kilowatt hour between midnight and 8 a.m. The reason this charger was needed is this had a Wi-Fi connection that talked to the utility and told when we were using the electricity specific for charging our cars at the off-peak rate. I believe all houses now with Wisconsin Public Service do have a smart meter on your house, which does the same thing, tells them when you're using the electricity or how much you're using at what time. But that's for the entire household, and they wanted to know specific to charging vehicles. There probably was some federal grant money to do with that, I'm not sure. But anyway, they required this. What happened now, why I can get rid of it, I'm still gonna stay in the program, but the program is changing. Number one reason it's changing, Enel went out of business. I believe exactly for those reasons, there's no incentive to purchase this thing over a Tesla charger. The vast majority of EVs are still Tesla, there's others coming out, but the convenience of using their brand, and it's about the same cost, so there's no reason, actually a lot of reasons not to get this charger versus just sticking with the OEM charger. So they went bankrupt. Then there were questions, you need a separate app, is there support for that app and the interface, and the fact that this has to talk to the utility, is that going to be ongoing, or how's that gonna work? Just too many questions there, they decided to pull the plug. They've changed the program now. Instead of a off-peak rate for our flat rate customers, they're gonna give a 4 cent per kilowatt hour discount on all electricity used between 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. via the smart meter on the home. So I can go back to the Tesla charger, and I'm happy. I'd be very upset if I purchased this. They gave two options, You could either lease this for $20 a month or purchase it for about $500. I'm glad I chose to lease it. This lasted maybe a year, and then it went defunct. So I take this down, ship it back to them. A little bit of an inconvenience there, but I'm just going to take it to a local shipping place and have them pack it and everything. And they provided me a return shipping label, so it's somewhat convenient. But again, glad to be getting rid of this thing. I hedged my bet on leasing it. Normally I'm not a lease, a rent person, but because these chargers were so new, my fear was that, the charger, just like the fact that this has a JS plug on it, I knew that wasn't long for the world. And clearly I was right. They went bankrupt. Everybody changed to the North America charging standards. So those more knowledgeable with chargers will point out, well, one of the reasons the Enel X charger was a bit more bulky is because it could handle more amperage. Both of them operate on 220 volt versus the Tesla mobile charger, and that's absolutely true. The charge time for the mobile charger is a little bit more, but we're talking maybe 5 hours instead of 4 hours if you're going from 0% or 10% up to 80%, which is kind of the extreme case of what we have. More usually around 40, 50, 60% up to 80. So the 8 hours that we get every night is more than enough to charge the vehicle to our 80% set point, just to maintain battery health. You don't really want to go above 80 for normal day-to-day activity. So Tesla does have a home charger that goes up to that 38 amps that the Enel X, actually I believe it goes to 40 amps, so a little bit more even than the Enel charger was able to deliver. I might get that just for kind of looks. It mounts on the wall, looks nice versus the mobile charger. But practical use case, there's really no need for us to have that. The mobile charger has worked perfectly. That one's almost 2 years old. We've taken it on the road with us to charge in 110 volt outlets, 220 volt outlets. You can swap over the prongs on it, and it's been flawless. So I had a couple thoughts when I first heard about this. The one we covered already is, yes, I get to get rid of that Enel charger, and they were charging me $20 a month for that. So that leads into the second thought I had on it is, what's this going to do to my charge costs and my electricity bill? Let's dive into that now. Here's the text I've received from Wisconsin Public Service with the program as it becomes effective January 1 of 2025. So you can see the first thing here is they talk about returning your charger if you have one, which I've talked a lot about. You can continue to lease it for a reduced price of $12 a month. Again, I don't want to do that because I want to get rid of it. But the nuts and bolts of this, basically, they are no longer separating your EV charging from your total home electricity use. So our existing smart whole home electric meter that's attached to the side of the house does tell Wisconsin Public Service when you're using electricity. It just isn't able to separate out what's for air conditioning, what's for electric vehicle charging, what's for drying clothes, for example. So they're going to assume that you're using up to 400 kilowatt hours for charging your electric vehicles and give you a 4 cent per kilowatt hour reduction on that. Let's take a look at my last bill and see how this is going to affect me. Here's an example of a bill. This is December of 24. You can see there's a special category for electrical service, electrical EV residential. Within that, it breaks down how much on-peak, off-peak, mid-peak I used through that Enel X EV charger. You can see on-peak was 14.35 kilowatt hours, off-peak was 612 and some change, mid-peak was 54. So this is going to go away now, and you can see it breaks down what I paid for the 14 kilowatt hours on peak, what the 612 on off peak, and then the intermittent peak. And then you can see the fixed service and admin charge was the $20 lease for that charger. So that gave me a total cost of $67 and some change
for charging my electric vehicles in December. This is a marked up version of that bill to say what would it cost me under the new program. So right off the bat, when I heard there was a 400 kilowatt hour cap on EV charging, I knew it was going to cost me more. I've got 2 electric vehicles. I'm not sure how they arrived at the 400. I'm assuming that's with one electric vehicle in your household. Since I have 2, I blew by that. I used 681 kilowatt hours in December to charge the electric vehicles. If we do the math on that, the first 400 of that will get our 4 cents reduction. That'll be $36 approximately for that. The next 281 kilowatt hour where we went over that cap will be another $37 for a grand total of the 74.06 compared to the 67 that I was charged in December. So I'm going to be paying a little bit more, even with the $20 rolled in there to lease that NL charger. Whenever things change, they normally get a little worse for the consumer. I was expecting this. I'm still glad to get rid of that NL charger and be more convenient with the Tesla charger. But at the end of the month, I'm going to be paying more to charge my electric vehicle. Well, there it is. Most customers with Wisconsin Public Service in the EV charging program are going to be paying more per month for their electricity. In my particular case, it's about $14. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but it is the overall trend. As EVs become more mainstream and more highly adopted, these incentives are going to go away and we're just going to have to pay full rate for electricity. It's just what it is. Thanks for watching.